So this video has to have a huge disclaimer. It's not going to fit into any category, but it is important enough that I guess I'm going to go ahead and do a video on it. Huge disclaimer. This is my observation. It's not what I think is right in the moral sense. It's not what I think is deserving. It's not meant to minimize other people's feelings, marginalize other people's feelings. I know a lot of the viewers on this channel are not happy with family court, both lawyers and judges. This was just a discussion that I was having with a friend, and it was kind of I guess it's an epiphany that I kind of blurted out this answer. And this maybe only applies to Nevada. Maybe other states don't have this problem. Maybe other states are fine, and it's just Nevada. Um, Somebody just sort of said, "What are like the really quick things you can do to improve the judiciary that just are underrated, not really known, not talked about?" And I just blurted out more departments and more pay, and more departments especially, but more pay also, because they just don't want to. There's really good people that don't want to become judges because they don't want to take the pay cut, and this is a horrible reality, and it makes people have so many knee-jerk reactions against it, mostly because they don't deserve it, but also in the sense of if they want money, they shouldn't be a judge. And to a large extent, both of those things are very true, especially the if you want money, don't become a judge. But there's a certain point where the disparity it becomes extreme, and the gap between the current pay that they're making and how much it would go down if they became a judge, it just becomes insurmountable. So again, I'm going to repeat the disclaimer. In an ideal world, all of the judges on the bench would be saints and they would do it for free. But it's not that world. And I've been paying close attention. I don't know when I started this channel, 2012 maybe, something like that. All these years of covering these, or doing these videos, and then of course the Our Nevada Judges Project. It's obvious to me that those are the two most underrated, unseen, under the radar things that would improve the judiciary, and that's not what people want to hear. Most of the time, people want to hear train them better, teach them about high conflict custody, or just vote them out and replace them with people who love kids, or stuff like that. Those are the really complicated approaches, especially the education. The simplified sort of approach is mostly what I said earlier was more departments. The money issue is an issue, but more departments is a bigger thing. And it just comes down to me noticing that the error rates of judges who are in rural districts are lower. They have less cases. It's simple. If you have less cases, you can put more attention on each case. If you have too many cases, you have to rush. It's like if you told somebody to do 1,000 projects in a year and you told somebody else to do 100. The person who is only doing 100 is going to just have higher quality output. They both have the same amount of time, same amount of effort, same amount of skill, but one has 10 times as much work. The person who has 10 times as much work is just going to have to rush, or they're just not going to finish, which is really bad. And that does happen in high conflict child custody cases. They never finish. They're waiting 2 years for a trial, or they never get a trial. It's and then they just settle because they feel like they have to, and it's horrible. We had a judge here who wasn't able to get through cases to the point where he was removed from the bench. He was disciplined by the Commission on Judicial Discipline twice. So I mean, that's like the biggest crime in the sense of, I guess, judges, is to just not make decisions. Is to, hey, here's your case. Nah, I'm not gonna do it. I mean, it's bad enough when they make mistakes, when they don't even do the cases at all. That's considered one of the most egregious things they can do. So you have these situations where you have judges with lower error rates in counties that have less people, which means less cases, and judges with higher error rates in counties that have way more people, and where the judge has 1,000 to 2,000 cases. So it's not really that convoluted or complicated or tricky. It's pretty simple when it comes to more departments. The pay situation is thorny. It's very thorny because it just is for so many reasons. But in Nevada, it's bad enough that it probably has to get dealt with soon. because we've had like, I know I can think of 2 or 3, maybe 4 different appointment cycles where like nobody filed. There's one family court department where one person filed. This is very recent. And then there's a non-family department where 3 people filed. And that's still not good because the Commission on Judicial Selection is supposed to select 3 finalists to send to the governor. So how's that going to go? You're supposed to pick 3 finalists out of 3 applicants. I mean, you don't have to send 3. You could send 2 or even just 1 to the governor. It's just embarrassing when it gets to that point. So I wonder if anybody here has looked into this in your state. If you are in a state where nobody wants to become a judge, and you have any inkling as to why, and it has to do with either too much work or not enough pay, post it down in the comments below. This was a tough video, guys. This was a tough video to do. It's just bad. Situation here is bad. I don't think they've had a raise in like 15 years. I don't know. Somebody, if anybody knows the specifics, that would be awesome. If you want to post that down in the comments below also. I guess this is all I've got for you guys. Yeah. Oh, by the way, one more thing before I stop. I have had a lot of people who do not like pro tempore judges, which are substitute judges, similar to a substitute teacher. And then there are also people who don't like senior judges. And then there are also people who don't like hearing masters. And then there are also, I mean, basically people who are like, I don't think they should be on the bench if they didn't get elected or whatever. If I get it, they're not a real judge, in quotation marks. Well, they're trying to figure out, I'm sure that what your jurisdiction is trying to do is trying to figure out how to solve the problem of too many cases and not enough judges. And that's one of the things that they do here, is they only have a certain number of departments. They have too many cases, and so they just start inventing these other pseudo judges to help because they don't have enough. I'm sure there are states that, maybe Wyoming, for example, where they have such a small population that they don't need to do any of that stuff. I mean, I've heard of states where everybody gets a free lawyer if they can't afford one. I've heard of states where you can go to family court and they're like, "Oh, you're poor? Free lawyer for you." And everybody gets one. I've heard of this. I don't know if it's got to be true because of why am I hearing about it? So look into that, guys. Look into states where everybody gets a free attorney, or every child gets a GAL. Every child gets a GAL. Every child gets a cap attorney. There is no, it's not magical. It's simply they have a certain amount of resources and their population is very small. And so they have enough resources for everyone. And then you have other states where they have a certain number of resources and their population is enormous. And so only a small percentage of those people get free resources. It's the same exact thing with what I was talking about with the departments, not enough departments, and with the salaries. It's going to impact your quality of judge. It just is. And that's what I blurted out when I was talking to my friend about it. And that's what I'm doing this video on now. So again, guys, as usual, go ahead and post down in the comments below if you think this is an issue in your state. If your state gives a cap attorney, which stands for Child's Attorney Project. I don't know if you have a different name for it there. If your state gives every single child an attorney, post that down in the comments. If your state gives every single poor person a free lawyer, post that down in the comments. If your state gives every single child a GAL, guardian ad litem, for free, post that down in the comments. Because I think people need to see that there are states with enough resources to help everybody, and to sort of consider the fact that things may not be good in your state, and it may not be so much an education issue as a quality of judge issue.